It's been some time since I last uploaded a video. That has, quickly become my opening phrase for pretty much every video I record these days. I mean, I do keep buying knives, lots of knives, fixed blades and folders, but I just can't seem to find the time to keep pushing out videos. And that means that, we see a lot of knife videos lately, and that is because when I do get time to make videos, there's usually been a new release by companies like knife, etc. that just keep pushing out new designs. And I have this feeling that people in general want to see new releases, especially when there are not a ton of videos showcasing those knives. But I do have other knives that I find to be really, really good, interesting, sometimes a lot more interesting than new releases from knife. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna make some videos that are not showing knives made by knife, that are not showing Chinese knives in particular. I do have a lot of other brands I want to showcase as well. But for right now, this is what we're gonna take a look at. Since I got these ones only like a few days ago. And I felt like I was kind of late to the party, but even so, there are not a lot of videos showcasing the knife limited edition Nefaris, or Nefaris, not entirely sure how to pronounce it. Anyways, I picked up two of these knives, two different versions. The one in my hand here is the bronze and black version. This one is the gray hand-rubbed satin finish version. So let's do a quick unboxing of sorts. We already know, or most of you guys know, what the box, what the contents looks like. So yeah, let's start with the gray hand-rubbed satin finish version. So you see here the knife limited edition logo on the box. Standard knife packaging. Certificate of authenticity stating the model, the version, and the number. So this is number 74 out of 155. And I would say right away that there are I don't know if there are 6 different versions of the Nefaris plus the diamond steel version. Yeah, some stickers, some piece of cloth, some commercial stuff, and some silica gel. Take that away. And then your typical knife pouch. Let's do like this. In fact, we can unbox both versions right away. Put this aside. So yeah, the certificate of authenticity for the bronze black version, this one is numbered 87. For those of you who may be interested in that. To be honest, I would only care if I get a number like number 1 or 155 or something like that, first or last. All other numbers are pretty uninteresting to me personally. So let's open these up. Yeah, let's go with actually let's go with the black and bronze, because I'm gonna focus on the other version when we do the actual review, I think. Let's see. This is what the bronze version of the Nefaris looks like. See if we can get some, in detail shots of sorts. Some interesting milling work here, might be difficult to catch. I do like the look of bronze and black, or bronze and gold, sort of. And the blade has a black coating. So, but we're gonna focus on the other version. I think that will it will be easier to see certain details on the bronze black dark blade and handle. But I will say that the closing action is smooth, super snappy. Opening action on this one. Centering of the blade is, I guess it's like 100% on this one. This would be kind of hard to see, but I would say it is, yeah, more or less 100%. No blade play whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, it works the way I want it to work. But we're gonna focus more on that on the other version. I just wanted to, since we have two, we might as well just see how consistent the quality is. During the sharpness test, I'm probably gonna try both knives to see how the different edges hold up. But just so you can get a look at it, this is the bronze and black Nefaris. So let's put it aside for now. So let's take a look at this one. This was my first choice when I made the order. I did have a little bit of difficulties making up my mind. I mean, hence why I have two knives. But this is what the gray version looks like, with the hand rubbed satin finish blade, some blue accents here, for the pivot collar, the speed holes, hardware in general. Let's see, the WE knife logo on the pocket clip here. Kind of, straightforward design, I would say, in general. I know not, any special inlays, no flame titanium, no Damascus, nothing like that. But there is a certain nice finish, and we do have the milling that could be seen here before on the bronze version. Let's see if we can pick it up here. So I do like the finishing touch here of the handle. But it is kind of straightforward. And the speed holes in general, I'm not the biggest fan of speed holes, to be honest. And there are actually two versions where there are inlays instead here. But I didn't fancy them just as much, so this is what I decided to go with. Then we can, man, the action is actually quite snappy. So let's take a look at the satin finish, hand rubbed blade here, shall we? So I think that we can start with going over the specs now, shall we? So titanium handle, CPM 20 CV blade. Those are both like trademarks of WeKnife since, well, quite some time back. We got a total length here of 209 millimeters. I would say, yeah, like 21 centimeters in overall length. We've got a blade length of 89 millimeters, so like 9 centimeters in blade length. We've got a blade thickness of 3.2 millimeters. You can see the full thickness here. So 3.2 millimeters is now like seems to be like the golden standard for WeKnife. Some prefer it. I personally, in general, prefer like a 4 millimeter blade, but yeah, you can't have everything always. Let's see the close length here now. So the close length of the knife is 121 millimeters, so 12 centimeters in close length. I would say that this is like a medium-sized knife. We've got a obvious clip point design or blade shape. We've got some jimping here on top of the spine, semi-aggressive I would say. We got this thumb hole of sorts, which you can use to open the knife should you not want to use the flipper tab. The flipper tab, which is not really visible because it does not protrude here, like if you compare it to the Nexusia where the flipper tab did protrude a little bit. Pocket clip, like a standard pocket clip, milled pocket clip, not too much to say about that. Some sort of backspacer, not really that interesting. We also see here the lanyard hole, or integrated, not integrated, but this sort of hidden lanyard hole, we could call it. This is a frame lock design. Let's take a look here at the lockup, which is actually not that easy to see, but I would say, I mean, it is a solid lockup, but it's kind of difficult to see the percentage of lockup for some reason. But it is, yeah, it is a solid lockup, no doubt about it. No blade play. Now we get some fingerprints here as well. The opening action, like I said, super snappy. The closing action is quite smooth. The centering of the blade is 100% centered. Let's see if we can actually catch that on camera. Should be visible, but it is 100% centered. I wear size 10 in gloves. Placing the knife in my hand looks like this. Easily a full 4-finger grip. Placing your thumb up here feels good. You do have the full thickness of the spine here, which I prefer, unlike with the Nexusia, where there was this kind of swedge that made it uncomfortable. I still would have preferred like a 4 millimeter spine to place my thumb on, but this actually feels quite good. Much, much better than on the Nexusia, in my opinion. The finger choil works well. I do think, however, that, let's see, this area here is actually, quite wide. It's wider than on the Nexusia. I would have preferred it to be slightly less wide, because this gap here in between feels a little bit awkward actually. Not super bad, but it's not super comfortable either. Still, I mean, it is a much more comfortable knife for me compared to the Nexusia, but it could have been even better in terms of ergonomics. Reverse grip feels great in a reverse grip, much better than the Nexusia as well. Oh, and if I forgot to mention it, the blade here is flat grind. Should be fairly easy to see. So overall, the fit and finish seems to be quite nice. Opening and closing action is great. I do think that high placement here and the small flipper tab here can feel a little bit awkward in the beginning. The jimping does not look very aggressive here on the flipper tab. Let's see if you can see it. But it really does provide quite a bit of traction. But I understand that they wanted a smaller flipper tab on this one, and the higher placement does make it easier or harder to actually fail opening the knife. I don't think I can fail opening this knife. But to me, from an ergonomic standpoint, once again, the flipper tab might not be to everyone's liking. But damn, the opening action is probably among the snappiest ones that I have from WeKnife. Definitely. Comfortable knife, sort of plain looking perhaps to some. Speed holes, yeah, can be deal breaker for some as well. Definitely not a deal breaker for me, but I guess I wanted to do, something more than just the fine milling. But I do like the flow here of the milling that widens out here, and also the milling on this part here. This is gonna be hard to capture on camera, but kind of have to see it in person. So a knife that may look a bit simple, especially compared to a knife like the Nexusia, but that I prefer from a ergonomical and from a practical standpoint compared to the Nexusia. But I do think that the Nexusia has a more stylish look to it. But I really do like the blade shape, the clip point, the swedge, etc. I mean, to me this is it has the aesthetics and the practicality combined, and that is what you get. Then you get a knife like the Nefaris. So let's try out the sharpness, the factory sharpness now. We can go with both knives doing that test. Before we continue with the sharpness test, there was one thing that I forget to mention before I shut off the camera, and that is the weight of this knife. I mean, it is a slim knife, fairly slim blade thickness as well, but the weight of the knife is actually 117 grams. So I mean, it's not a heavy knife by any means, but it's not super light either. So let's take a look here at the scale. So they did do quite a bit of internal milling on both sides, more on the shove side than on the clip side. It's always kind of tricky to get internal milling to show on camera, but you might just have to take my word for it that there is a lot of milling done here on the inside of the scales. So even with the internal milling, how does it balance out then? So let's see if we can get it is back heavy still. So the balance point is here at the finger groove. I mean, not a bad place to have as your balance point, but like I mentioned, this part here is actually quite wide. So I mean, it still feels like it is a bit, back heavy despite being balanced at the finger groove. But this is a good point of balance, no doubt. I mean, with a knife that weighs a mere 117 grams, the balance point is not gonna, be much of an issue in general. But it is a well-balanced knife, I would say. Now we can move on to the actual sharpness testing. As always with my sharpness tests, we're going to go with two kinds of paper. We're going to go with some regular printing paper. Most people are familiar with this. We're going to go with some thin newspaper. And we're gonna start with the regular printing paper here. Let's see. Now let's go with the gray titanium satin finish version first. So let's see if it's visible in the camera. Yeah, it seems to be. Very smooth. Very, very smooth. Yeah. So this is really impressive. I would say that the sharpness of this one is in fact incredible. And I mean, at least for paper slicing. Totally smooth. Let's see if this one can provide the same experience, shall we? Let's bring out a paper. Consistency is key, right? This one is also quite sharp. I can perhaps feel a little bit of a difference, that the first one is slightly sharper, but it's almost non-noticeable. Man, these two knives are actually incredibly sharp. Good job, WeKnife. Let's try the newspaper next, shall we? Let's see. Still like that. This is some factory edge. Yeah, I mean, wow, that is actually really, really good. And I'm gonna guess that, let's see, the side doesn't even matter. Let's go with this one. Yeah, this one is probably in the same league as well. Yeah, so I mean, at least for slicing paper, these ones will perform exceptionally well. Very consistent sharpness level, and it is a high sharpness level. Good stuff, definitely. Time for some final thoughts and conclusions about the WeKnife Nefaris. So this may be a bit of a plain looking, perhaps even boring design to some people, but looks can sometimes be deceiving, which is the case with this very knife. I think that, you know, the overall finish to the titanium, the satin finish and the milling job, the gray and blue, etc., I think it works great together. The speed holes, yeah, I mean, I don't mind that a lot. There is a version or two versions without the speed holes. Probably not a deal breaker to most people, but I get it. I really do. The ERGOS of this knife is really good. A lot better compared to the Nexusia. Man, the flipping action also between these two. This is a slow flipper. This is a lightning fast flipper. I just want to say that because it's so noticeable when sitting with both knives. So while this may be the more stylish looking knife, this is, to me at least, the more practical and more ergonomical knife of the two. And this one, with the swedge starting so early and the 3.2mm spine, this isn't comfortable. This is just not comfortable to me. This one is a lot more comfortable using the fingered choil. However, this wide area here is a tad bit too wide, a lot wider compared to the Nexusia. And here we also see the protruding flipper tab, whereas this one does not have a protruding flipper tab. The Nexusia would in fact have looked even better if the flipper tab was hidden, I would say. And the reason I talk about both of these knives is because they are about, the same in general size, blade thickness, blade length, total length, etc. But obviously very different blades and designs altogether. So, comfortable knife, works well with the fingered choil, thumb placement, full spine thickness, great jimping. Regular grip works well as well, and reverse grip feels excellent for those of you that utilize that. Opening and closing, closing is really smooth, opening is lightning fast. I doubt you can fail the opening using the flipper tab. You can utilize the thumb hole as well as a means of opening. There is no blade play, the blade is 100% centered, the fit and finish is just great. The price on this one is, this is a limited edition, and I do not fully get that part because it doesn't really scream, limited edition when I look at the knife. It is, like I said, it is a nice knife, practical knife, etc. But I don't really get the limited edition part. But then again, we have seen more plain looking models being limited editions before. But this one is limited to 155 pieces each, I believe, and the Dama steel is probably sub 100 pieces, I would reckon. Nice clip point, nice swedge. Sharpness is insane. And we did try the sharpness on both of these versions, and they both performed almost in a league of their own. Really, really great performance. Then again, we have seen great performance from WeKnife with their past releases. A bit of a inconsistency in between models. All of them are sharp, but some are really 1 or 2 steps above in level of sharpness. But you will always get a sharp knife. That is my conclusion so far from the WeKnives that I have tested in the last couple of months, like half a year or something like that. So I hope they keep it up. Really like this bronze version as well. That's why I had trouble picking one, so I decided to go with 2. There's also another knife I want to mention when discussing the Nefaris. So I already mentioned the really stylish looking Nexusia. This is a stylish looking knife. It really is. Although the flipping action feels slow now compared to this. But there is also another knife I did a review on not too long ago, and that is the Magnetron. And I love the Magnetron. It has excellent ERGOS, the best ERGOS. This one has top ERGOS. Then after that we have oh man, how can I forget the name about the knife I'm actually reviewing right now? Well, that's awkward. And then the Nexusia. Holy crap, how could I forget the name of this one? Glad I don't put it on the actual knife though. But let's see, yeah, the Nefaris, thank you. So, this is how I would rate them. Magnetron being the best of ERGOS. The Nefaris second best, and Nexusia placing third. And this is also probably the order in which I like these 3 knives. I will say though that the Magnetron here has a 4mm thick blade, so it does. There is a bit more weight to it. It's a lot, thicker. These 2 knives are, quite thin in, the general design. Just looking at let's compare like the spine thickness as well. There is quite a bit of difference, as you can see. So if you like more thin profile knives, then I mean, then the Nexusha or the Nefaris is probably the way to go. But I do not think that Nefaris dethrones the Magnetron, because this is just, I love this knife. But I wonder if I perhaps like the blade shape even more of the Nefaris. That's a tough one. And next week, on the 2nd of November, we're gonna see the release of the upcoming WE knife Orpheus. And I have 2 on order. I do have 1 regular, and I also went to the Dalma steel actually, because that knife looks to be a winner to me. Hopefully it can dethrone all these 3 knives or models. And it's an integral as well, and I love integrals quite a bit. So we will see. I will probably make a comparison video. Maybe I will even make like a tier video where I go over all the different WE knife releases in the past like 6 to 12 months and you know, do some rating of them. But yeah, let's focus again here on the Nefaris. So I mean, if you've been on the edge about this one, I mean, if you are intrigued by the looks or the dimensions or the design of either the handle or blade or a combination of it, rest assured that this is a really high quality knife, no doubt about it. I mean, it does have this slimmer profile. Interestingly enough, I'm starting to get more and more into the slim designs. I mean, the Magnetron actually feels a little bit, you know, clunky in some way. Never felt that before, but the more I use these thinner type knives, the more I do appreciate them. But then again, different knives for different occasions, I would say. Is this a recommendation? Yeah, I mean, I would recommend the Nefaris, absolutely. The pricing, I mean, WE knives have gone up in price in general, but I think this one is, you know, fairly priced. The Orpheus, the upcoming version here next week, is going to be a bit pricier. Then again, that is going to be an integral compared to this with the, you know, tiny backspacer, etc. So quite a bit more of machining and more inlay work, etc. Yeah, this is a recommendation, or you can sit tight for like a week or so and wait for the Orpheus to see which one you think you will enjoy the most. I will definitely make an Orpheus video as soon as I can. I hope I can make it next week. Would be nice. And then I will also make this comparison video. But yeah, the WE knife Nefaris is actually an easy recommendation if you like what you see. And I definitely like what I see. And even more so, what I feel.